Hello, everyone. My guest this morning is Kim Walpole. She started her third company, Trials.ai, after her best friend was diagnosed with terminal cancer and given 5 months to live. What began as a passion project has turned into a mission-driven, venture-backed startup that is turning the clinical trials ecosystem on its head. Kim, are you ready to take us to the top?
I am.
All right. So first off, anytime someone hears like clinical trials or anything MedTech or related right now, they just think Theranos, right? So walk me through like what you guys do, and is there a technical component, or is it a system that you put together? How's it work?
Yeah. So good question. We are using artificial intelligence to fix what we believe are the two root causes of failure in clinical trials. So in simple speak, we're making it really easy for researchers to run clinical trials faster, cheaper, and easier.
Okay. And give me a little bit more detail there on how you're doing that.
Sure. So we started by training our algorithms on historic data from trials that were both successful as well as not successful, medical journals, basically anything we could get our hands on. And that allows us to help with the study design or to speak to the study design so that we can give trial sponsors feedback on threats and opportunities. And then once they sign off on that, we feed it into our workflow system that basically acts like a GPS, navigating all of the stakeholders through the trial based on their role.
Kim, when was your best friend diagnosed with terminal cancer?
About 3 years ago.
Okay. And was your system able to save her, or is this something afterwards, when she passed, it just motivated you to jump in full steam on?
Yeah, unfortunately, so it was a guy, Paul, best friend for over 20 years. And he went to the doctor with a stomach ache, came out with 5 months to live. And, I had been working with tier one pharmaceutical companies for over 12 years. So essentially he was like, look, folks in the space, is there a clinical trial that I can get, that you can get me in? And unfortunately, I reached out to friends at Columbia, Dana-Farber, all of these really great research organizations. And turns out there were only two potential therapies that might have helped him, but by the time that they would get trial ready, he had died. And so It was one of those like life-changing, altering, where before it had been somebody should probably fix problems in clinical trials. It was suddenly like there's a fire in me to do that and to make sure that it happens sooner than not.
Someone who uses you versus doesn't use you in a clinical trial, what's the time savings?
Yeah, so it depends. There are a couple of different moving parts here. On the study design side, it takes anywhere from 9 to 12 months to do that. We're cutting that down to weeks and eventually days. And then as you're running the clinical trial, because we are able to, collect data properly, work on helping actually drive the process instead of, being a system that reacts to it, the end result, as far as we know it, can be months cut off of an actual trial.
That's great. And walk me through the business side now. How do you make money?
So we're a SaaS-based, we have a SaaS-based trial model. We charge per user, per month, per trial. And a user can be anyone that interacts with the system at any level.
Okay. And who are you selling directly to? Is it like the hospital, the person that's sick? Who is it?
Yeah, good question. So we're selling directly to the folks that are trying to get the treatments out. So those are trial sponsors, Johnson & Johnson, kinds of companies, device companies, all of those different folks. Okay,
trial sponsors. Got it. And you'll just sell them packages based off how many patients, how many users, how many trials, things like that.
So we actually sell on a per trial basis, but then we do bundles of trials as well.
I see. Okay. And give me a sense of like what one of these, like your average customer, what are they paying you per month?
Yeah. So on the way that clinical trials run is in order to get a treatment to market, it takes anywhere from 9 to 15 years. And there's a course of trials that have to take place. So at least 3 trials before you get your treatment to market. And so for us, an average trial, maybe a phase 2 trial of 350 users would generate about $200K on average annually.
Okay. And so you're selling on average kind of $200,000 annual contracts.
Yeah.
That's a really helpful understanding for people that are not in the medical profession. Good. So that gives us a good sense there. And then again, give me the backstory here. So friend diagnosed about 5 years ago. He sadly passed. When did you officially start the company?
Yeah. So it was interesting. In tandem of trying to get Paul into a clinical trial, idea started to kind of mull in my head, and was talking with a couple of folks about, okay, can we use technology to really affect a very manual process? Like currently people are using paper binders, Excel spreadsheets. It's a really, really manual process. And so it would be, probably a couple of months that we actually started working on it, because we had already been, while we were going through this with Paul, kind of figuring out some things.
So it was 2013 then, about 5 years ago.
No, it was 3 years ago that Paul got diagnosed. Yeah. No, that's okay. So we started the company, in 2016.
Officially. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think you've decided to raise capital to push this thing forward. How much have you raised today, and why did you decide to raise?
Sure. So we bootstrapped as far as we could go. We were really fortunate because our first customers, while we had an MVP, were willing to pay something so that we could continue to build the technology. And from there, we, have kind of pulled together this process. And we started with actual paying customers to start. And then we got to the point where we decided, okay, we're going to need to raise capital so that we can continue to scale the company, add additional people on. And we raised $750,000 back in the end of December, and now we're doing a $2.5 million raise.
As we speak.
Correct.
And give me a general sense of what the market's like today. Is it, you feel like it's easy to raise, it's going well, it's more difficult?
That's a good question. I think, this is an interesting space to be in right now. Clinical trials is a really hot conversation. And so a couple of years ago, when we initially started thinking about raising, there was definitely this sense of, AI in clinical trials. Like clinical trials isn't hot as it is. Yeah. And now you're trying to apply AI, we're not sure about that. And so it was really interesting for us going through that process and going, okay, maybe we'll wait until, there's a better climate. And I think right now really is, we've got a lot of interest from investors. Right now, we're really just looking to lock in our lead. But in terms of just all around interest, we've got emails coming in, calls, let's talk. So pretty exciting.
That's great, Kim. That's really great. Congratulations. And to walk me through a little bit more of the numbers there. So, what valuation would you love to raise at?
The conversations we're having is at a 10 million pre.
Okay. Right, that's good. And do you mind sharing kind of what revenue is today so we can get a sense of what multiple you're negotiating for?
So what our revenue is, currently we're at about 25K MRR.
That's great. So 25 grand a month. And where were you exactly a year ago in July of 2017?
Oh gosh. We were pre-revenue at that time. We had some folks that, like I said, had given us some money that they were putting towards it, but it definitely was, we weren't counting it as revenue at that time.
Yep. So you're doing about 300 grand right now, annually, and you want 10 million pre. So that's like a 33x kind of multiple. Power to you in terms of negotiation power to get that. Do you see any risks to raising at a multiple that high for you, the owner?
Well, that's a good question. I think, again, coming back to where we are in the space, the way that the space is moving so quickly, and people are really excited about this particular approach. Now, when we talk about our pipeline, so there's a conversation around, okay, what are we generating right now? But then if you look at our sales pipeline, we've got 7 trials from one customer that is coming up, another 5 trials. So, this process is a little longer. And when we're talking with investors, they're actually looking at our sales pipeline.
That's great. And right now, what are you working with, 1 or 2 customers?
We actually have 2 trials that are completed. We're working with 4 customers. We've got 5 studies total. And like I said, we've got 7 coming up. We're rolling 1 out right now.
Okay. Now, if you have 4 coming right now, paying that price you articulated earlier of 200 grand per year, that puts your revenue way higher than 25 grand a month. So is it fair to say you maybe have early folks where you maybe did a bit of a discount to get them in?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
But what you're saying is new ones coming in, you're kind of at that 200 level.
Yeah. Over the last 2 months, we've closed about 250,000 in new bookings.
That's great. What's team size today?
We are at 8 full-time, and then we've got 4 part-time and a couple of interns.
That's great. And where's everybody based?
San Diego.
Everyone?
Well, we've got a couple out in San Francisco as well.
Okay, good. So California. That's great. And walk me through some other kind of unit economics for these customers. Do you measure churn yet? And if so, how do you think about it?
No, actually, right now, this is kind of a very sticky technology, because when we're talking about clinical trials, like I said, you've got a treatment to market that's going to take anywhere from 9 to 15 years. And so what we're finding is, we've got one customer that came to us. They ran their first trial. They liked it so much. We saved them 3 hours on admin tasks per day per person, and then decreased their data errors by 20%. So they started a second trial with us, or getting ready for their third.
So have you lost anyone that has paid you something, or does everyone keep paying more?
No, we haven't lost anyone yet.
Okay. So that's great. So maybe you're too cheap.
We could be. We are definitely having those discussions.
Yeah. Now, another question here. What are you paying to acquire these customers? I imagine it's a long sales cycle, a lot of flights, traveling, explanations, presentations.
Yeah. We haven't, we're of course working on that right now, but I can't really give that kind of information. We don't have enough data.
It's too early for that. It's too early for lifetime value, too early for lifetime value in dollars and all that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Very good. Well, Kim, this is good stuff. Let's wrap up here with the famous 5. Number 1, what's your favorite business book?
I can't. I literally just, it's 7 o'clock in the morning.
What's the last one you read? Do you remember?
I think I'm always digging into, Brad Feld's books and things like that, but
Good. Is there a CEO you're currently following or studying?
Nope.
Okay. Number 3, what's your favorite online tool for building your business?
Favorite online tool for building we're using Asana has been a really good tool for us as a company.
Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
Ooh, about 3 to 4.
What? Kim, come on. You're in the medical profession. You're dying if you're only getting that much sleep.
I must be one of those people that's built to not need a ton of sleep, because it's true. I get about
really 3.5 hours of sleep each night and that's like, you never cheat and sleep for like 12 hours straight to catch up, or?
To be honest, we actually laugh about this all the time, because I say every night, nobody wake me up in the morning, let me sleep. And every morning, I'm up, I go to bed probably around, 12:31, get up about 4:35.
It's amazing. Okay. What's your situation? Married, single, kids?
Married, kids. Yes.
How many?
3.
Woo. Okay. And how old? Do you mind me asking how old you are?
Of course I do.
All right. I ask because the last question is, take me back to your 20-year-old self. What do you wish that she knew?
I wish that she knew to be kinder to herself. I think there are a lot of, women that are out there in the industry, and we're really hard on ourselves. The other thing that is kind of a mantra that I live by is, worry is imagination abuse. Mm-hmm. And so whenever I get to worrying, I think, okay, let me put that to better use. Rather than imagining all of the things that could go wrong, let me imagine the things that could go right.
Guys, be kind to yourself, and remember, your mind's a powerful thing. Imagine positive things, not negative ones. She jumped in and took a very negative experience in the form of her friend becoming very, very sick 3 years ago, launched her own company in 2016, Trials.ai, to speed up the clinical approval process, which can take a long, long, long time. She's now got a team of 8. They've raised $750,000, about 4 customers, doing $25,000 per month in revenue, $300 per year. Too early to talk about unit economics, but they're currently raising another $2.5 million on hopefully a $10 million pre-money valuation to continue scaling the company. Kim, thank you so much for taking us to the top.
Thank you so much. Take care.